Welcome on this beautiful autumn evening here at Lambros Real Estate ERA. And I want to give a special thanks to Lambros ERA for offering this wonderful room to meet and gather and share this valuable information. This is the third seminar in a series of 5 and titled Transitioning in the Good Life, Seminar for Boomers and Seniors. Tonight we're discussing downsizing. So our first presenter is Marilyn Allen from Moving for Seniors, and she has a lot of valuable information for us. So I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say, Marilyn. Let's welcome Marilyn.
Hi, my name is Marilyn Allen, and I am the owner of Smooth Transitions of Western Montana, and I am a senior move manager, or transition specialist as they sometimes call us. By definition, move managers work with senior citizens who are moving from a larger house to a smaller house. We work with them to decide what furniture will fit by gathering floor plans or by taking measurements. We pack for them, we coordinate the move, we unpack, and we set up the residence so that it's move-in ready. Then, of course, we're left with all the stuff that's left in the original home. So we make arrangements for sales or donations or shipments to family members. Many times the houses are to be placed on the real estate market, so we make arrangements to have the houses cleaned and the trash gathered up, and so the houses are ready to be sold. I also, by definition, work with seniors emotionally because this is a very difficult time with a lot of stresses and strains, and the idea is to make it a smooth transition so that they can easily move from one environment to another. Some clients use every one of my services. Other clients pick and choose. Some clients just need simply a consultant to come in and set up the plan so that they can go ahead and get started. I do a lot of reading about decluttering and downsizing, and I came across an article that said that people spend the first 40 years of their lives eagerly accumulating, and the next 40 years of their lives trying to figure out what in the world to do with all this stuff. I find my clients to be very overwhelmed. Sometimes they're overwhelmed by just the sheer volume. Sometimes they're overwhelmed by the physical efforts it takes to do this job. Sometimes they're overwhelmed by the myriad of emotions that sorting through 40 years of stuff evokes. And once they've sorted and organized, they're overwhelmed by the fact of, what do I do with this stuff once I've sorted it out? What do I do with it? Where does it go? Some people, if you say downsizing, they become very upset because they assume that means someone's going to haul the dump truck up to the door and out the door all their stuff goes. And that's not the idea. If you're someone that is bothered by the word downsizing, perhaps use the word right-sizing instead. You need the right amount of stuff to fit the size of your house and nothing more. In my business, and I've been in business almost 4 years, I deal with different situations. The first situation are clients that honestly are moving from a large house to a small house. And when I ask them how they're doing this, what made you choose to make this decision, one thing they tell me is, my house is too large. There's one of us or two of us rattling around in the house. I can't take care of the yard anymore. We don't like to shovel the walks. We're tired of trying to find somebody to hire to do it. We can't take care of the maintenance. That's why we're considering downsizing. Other people tell me that they have some mobility issues, and the laundry's in the basement. They're having trouble getting down there safely, or their master bedroom is upstairs and they have stairs to climb every single night. That's the reason why they are considering downsizing. Other people, one lady in particular, lived in the South Hills, and she had stopped driving. She said, I just don't want to drive anymore. Then she discovered how isolated and alone she was, away from services and her friends. So she made the decision to downsize to a different location. Some people, like one lady, said, I am sick and tired of cooking. So when I said, well, there's condos and townhomes, she goes, no, I want someplace where they'll do the cooking for me because I'm done. Other situations happens during the holidays when the adult children come home. and they find out that their parents aren't doing as well as they thought, and they're very worried. They live far away. They can't be there to help. That's a reason why parents choose to downsize. There are many different choices now, many more than there were in the past, and people are making the decision. And of course, I deal with the people and their stuff. The second type of downsizing is for people who want to simplify their lives. They sometimes are moving, and sometimes they're choosing to live in their current environment, and they just want it to be clean and free. This involves sorting and organizing and dispersing of extra belongings. When I ask them, they tell me there are several reasons why they chose to do this downsizing. The first reason is for safety, because cluttered pathways and bulging cupboards and closets are the breeding ground for falls. And all it takes is one fall, and then the choice of remaining in your own home is no longer your choice. And I can tell you my own story. This spring, I was coming down from my upstairs master bedroom on carpeted steps down to the main level, and I'm a type A personality, so I was moving. I had stocking feet, and instead of landing flat on the step, I landed on the edge, and I was down. And it took a little bit, and finally I could get up, but I had about a month and a half worth of a bruise the size of my hand on my upper hip. My house is totally downsized, it's totally decluttered. And all I could think of is, what if I had had my stairway filled with stuff? I probably would have broken a bone. So even in the best of conditions, falls do happen. People also choose to downsize for their adult children's sake. They do not want their children to be faced with a mountain of stuff once they're gone. They do this out of compassion for their children. Sometimes they do it out of embarrassment. They don't want their families to see all the stuff they've collected all these years. One man, I have to tell you, I offered him a business card, and he just laughed at me. And I said, okay, and he said, you know, I have a house full of stuff, I have a garage full of stuff, I even have an outbuilding full of stuff. I'm going to make my kids go through everything when I'm gone. It's payback. I was horrified, and the reason was I had been on the phone with a little lady for a couple of months, and she'd call and she'd say, you know, I really need to downsize, I've got all this stuff, what do we do? And we'd discuss on the phone, and I'd give her suggestions, and I said, well, you know, I can come over and we can start your plan. Oh, I'm not quite ready yet, but I'll call you when I am. And a month later, I'd get another call, and she'd say, I haven't forgotten you yet. And I thought, okay, are you ready for me to come over? No, I'm not. One day I opened up the Missoulian to the obituaries. There she was. And then I got the call from the family. The daughter and her brother and their spouses had been working in Mom's house for 2 weeks. They hadn't seen Mom's house in a couple of years because Mom always came to them because they had small children and it was easier for her to fly out. So they hadn't seen her home. And when I walked through the door, first of all, I noticed their faces. They looked like Holocaust victims, gaunt eyes, staring. And when I got inside the house, it was basically a hoarding situation. Like you see on TV, she was not dirty. It was not dirty at all. It's just that she collected tons of stuff. And she had goat trails through the house. You know what they are? In hoarding situations, goat trails are the pathways through the hoard. Sometimes they're clear, sometimes they're not. So we had goat trails and we were stepping over. I know in her calls to me, she didn't want to put her family through this. She just ran out of time. And then they were left to deal with it. And of course, I'm such a small company, all I could do was give them suggestions. You really needed a crew to come in and take care of this situation. That's way beyond needing to downsize. A third reason people downsize is for peace of mind. It's a lot of responsibility taking care of all that stuff. You have to dust it, clean it, move around, search through it. And emotionally, there's all sorts of memories, good and bad, that's always with you. You're guilt-ridden. There's a lot to be said for that feng shui method of decorating. It's clean, it's free. I have a very good friend who I've been working with, and she is decluttering. And she said she feels so liberated that she's gotten rid of this stuff. It's not in her house anymore, and emotionally she's free. She said she's so proud of herself, she's decluttered, and she has kept it that way. And she's my role model. I should bring her with me to have her tell you her story, because she says it's an awesome feeling. So what do? Okay. The first thing is you start today. There's a song by a man named Joel Hempel, and I love the lyrics because it says, "Everybody's wondering what's up ahead. Remember, it wasn't raining when Noah built the ark." True? But most people wait until the flood hits them and a crisis occurs before they act. Downsizing is not a quick thing. It's almost a grieving process as you relive the memories and store them away in your mind, and then you're able to get rid of the actual objects. It's not something you can rush through. The most often heard comment from my clients have been, "I wish I'd started a year before. I should have started sooner." It's very stressful. If you're under a time crunch and you're moving, you've got the stress of moving along with trying to release these objects. So you need to make sure you take that into account. The first thing you need to do is sit down and you need to make a plan. I tell people to start with the obvious areas of your room. Your entryway, your kitchen, your living room, your bedrooms, your bathroom. Unless you're someone, and you know yourselves well, someone who is very much tied to stuff. And if you are, then I suggest you start with the less obvious areas like the basement or the attic or the garage or the storage rooms. Because once you've placed items in these areas, you've already started to cut the ties. And it's sometimes easier to let go of objects that are stored in these areas. So whatever works for you, that's the area you start in. You need to declutter at least 3 times a week. And I suggest to my clients they only work in 1 to 2 hour sessions only. Do not stoop. Use some sort of portable table so you can work at waist high. Stooping just zaps your energy in a hurry. Make sure you stay hydrated, drink a lot of water, and every once in a while take short breaks so you can get a cup of coffee or step outside, go out and get the mail, whatever. There are several methods that move managers use in this decluttering, downsizing process, and I have a favorite that I'm going to share with you today. You take 7 large containers, and they can be Rubbermaid totes, Sterlite totes, or big boxes, and have some extras in case those get filled. Each one of the boxes has a label. Here are the labels. One is keep, one is sell, one is donate, gift, recycle, relocate, and the last one, don't have a clue. And of course, you always have a little trash bag along the side there. And I suggest to people before they start, make a clean sweep of your area with the trash bag to get the obvious trash, and then just put your sack there. You choose a room that you're going to start decluttering in, and you work in the corners first. You go to a corner, face a corner, and put your hands like this beside your face. You're going to work in the area only that you see from here to here. You're going to pull everything out of that area because it'll go in one of those tubs or the trash bag. When you're done, that area is clean, so you can mop, clean, dust, wipe, whatever you need to do, and then only the items from the keep box go back in the corner. Do another corner, another corner, another corner, and then do the walls in between, and then your room will be done. As the containers fill, seal them and get them off the premises, especially the sell and donate boxes, because human nature is you've made the decision and now you're starting to second guess thinking, should I put that in that box or not? And you want to avoid that. So you need to seal the box and get it off the premises, maybe in the garage so you can load stuff in your car and go deliver them where you need to. But those boxes need to go. The don't have a clue box, you seal it and you put the date, current day's date on it, and then you make a decision to deal with it in 6 months or a year. In 6 months or a year, you haven't looked in the box. Cart it off, donate it, get rid of it. And if you have caved in to human nature and looked and taken some things out, well, whatever's left you still haven't used. If you haven't used something in 6 months to a year, you need to get rid of it, so out it goes. The relocate box. My motto to clients that I work with in downsizing and decluttering and organizing is that like goes with like. I find items in my clients' homes, similar items in every room of their house. They need to be all grouped together in one area. So take your relocate box and wander through your house and put the things where they belong. Sometimes it's just a matter of organization. There are things you do, but there's one thing that you don't do. And this is a book I want to share with you that's just an awesome book. It's called Clutter's Last Stand, and it is on my bibliography that I will hand out. It's written by Dawn Aslett, and I like it because it's a humorous guide to downsizing. I've looked at a lot of books. Some of them insult you. Some of them make you feel so guilty you can't read through them, but this one uses humor. And here's what he says you don't do. Do not go out and buy a bunch of files, folders, shelves, and containers. He calls them junk bunkers. All they do is teach you how to file or hide or tolerate or make decorative use of junk. You still have the same junk, it's just organized. And that's not the purpose. So I thought that was a good idea. When I do my organization and downsizing presentations, dressed as a pink fairy, by the way, I'm the clutter fairy, I have a closet suggestion that I tell people. First of all, you need to arrange your clothes closet according to seasons, and then hang everything in your closet with the hangers facing you like this. As you wear an item and return it to the closet, hang it the normal way. At the end of the season, you look and see which ones are still facing you backwards. Those are the ones that go in the container at the base of your closet. Obviously, if you haven't worn them in a season, you aren't going to wear them. And then when that container is filled, out the door it goes. I also have a rule about tchotchkes. Do you know what tchotchkes are? Tchotchkes are knickknacks that we all have in our homes. My personal rule in my own home is I decorate with nothing smaller than a football. I do have some smaller items from the past. I've culled them out so I don't have a lot, but I don't want to dust them, and we actually are moving in a month, and I don't want to pack them. So nothing smaller than a football. Works well when you're on vacation because you go to those little gift shops wherever you're traveling and you end up bringing home stuff that you never use. So it works great. And then my husband, dear man, has decided to add his own rule. So his rule is nothing larger than a football when we travel, because he's not going to pay for a suitcase to be on the plane ride home, and he doesn't want to ship things. So we have rules when we travel, and it's worked well. Photo rule, I mention this because I find photos in every single room of people's houses and every corner. And when you're doing your whole house and downsizing, you haven't got the time to go through all your photos. So loosely group them just in photo boxes until you have extra time. Throw out the blurry ones, the repetitive ones, the boring ones. And even though it's hard, throw out the scenery pictures. The reason is someday when your family goes through your pictures, unless you're standing in the picture, and they haven't been there, it doesn't mean anything to them at all. So I would, save a few special ones and then get rid of the rest. Books. Keep the books you love, or the ones you read all the time, or the books whose content you can't find on the internet. I personally have really culled my books down to almost nothing, because there's so many things in my business I can just tap on Google and have it instantly at my hands without digging through 6 books trying to find it. So I really have culled things down. My very good friend is a cookbook collector. She has tons of cookbooks, and she's trying to downsize those. And I said, the cookbooks that you use a lot of recipes out of, those are ones to keep. But if you use 1 or 2 recipes, why are you hanging on to the book? Make a copy of the recipe and give the book away. Don't ever double stack your books, which I do find in houses a lot, because the books in the back you aren't ever going to see. Use the library rule. It's single stack only. I tell my clients, talk to yourself while you're downsizing. It's okay. People won't think you're nuts. And listen to what you say. If this comes out of your mouth, well, I could use it for, that's a red flag word. Could means you haven't used it up to this point. and could means you probably aren't going to use it here on out. So any items that you've said I could use are probably items that need to be gone out of your home. People tell me, I have a clean house. I don't have any clutter. I said, I have a clean house, but I still have clutter. And I found 50 items that people save that really honestly are clutter, that they don't even realize they are. Number one, of course, is what I said before, the excess in closets and drawers. And I have to tell you a little story about that. I once worked for an archaeologist. We were packing him up for an out-of-country move. And it was a dig in the house. It was very interesting. And I wanted to pack the hall closet. So I went tripping down the hall with my box in hand, and he went, whoa, wait, stop, stop. And he beat me to the closet, and he said, you better stand back. And I'm thinking, you know, compared to what else we'd found in this house, okay, so I stepped back, and he opened the door, and it was literally filled to the rim of the door. The only thing that was holding everything in was a box put at an angle like this. Otherwise, it would have all come tumbling down. He needed to downsize a long time ago. Magazines, I see lots of magazines in people's houses. They maybe wanted to clip an article and didn't get around to it, or it had beautiful pictures, and they can't throw them away. Well, the idea is not to throw and fill the landfill. The idea is to disperse the items and repurpose them. Shoes, I find lots of shoes that people don't like or don't wear. And in Montana, since we're such an active state, I see tennis shoes. People realize their tennis shoes wear out from the inside, and the outside look great. They can't get rid of them because the outside look great, even though they can't wear them anymore. Worn out work gloves for men. I find lots of those in their workshops and garages. Old games or puzzles with pieces missing. I collect puzzles, unfortunately or fortunately, jigsaw puzzles, and I finally got to the point where I had too many. So I read about this rule where if you buy one, you have to give one away. So I carried it a little further, and every time I bought a new puzzle, I had to give 2 away until I got my stash down to imaginable size. Of course, old photos, they're on the list. Toys that even your grandchildren have outgrown. Old uniforms, I find those usually in the basement closets or in the attics. Paraphernalia from hobbies or crafts. This has been the year of the craft. Every job I've had so far, I've found tons of craft projects and craft supplies. Keepsakes, you can't remember whose sake you're keeping them from, or keeping them for. One lady told me she had some little knick-knack that her granddaughter gave her. She said, you know, I've never really liked that. But I can't give it away, can I? My granddaughter gave it to me. Yeah, you probably could. But those are the keepsakes you can't get rid of. Unused recipe books and cards, do-it-yourself manuals, old paint, brushes, matted rollers, hair gadgets for women, electric razors. One man had 8, no cords, but just the 8 razors. Cards, greeting cards, Christmas cards. Some people buy tons of cards so that they have one readily available when they need to send a card, but they're old and yellowed and they're too embarrassed to send them, but they still keep them. Or some people have boxes and boxes of cards they've received from other people and still can't get rid of them. Furniture set aside to refinish or refurbish. Use gift bows, scraps of wrapping paper, empty boxes, and I see a lot of brown paper bags. I don't think they're using them for garbage. I don't know what they're using them for. They're usually very dusty, but they have quite a collection. Small appliances stored in the graveyard of used appliances, which is the basement. And you need to resurrect them and find a new purpose or a new home for these items that you don't use. Books and paperbacks, coupons, special offers, colognes and aftershave. For women, I find those little makeup samples that we all gather. Old curtains or blinds, old patterns or scraps or plans. How about every drawing your children and or grandchildren had ever made? Ballpoint pens and felt tip markers I find in excess in homes. Costume jewelry, old socks or pantyhose, tchotchkes you aren't attached to, a collection of tools or gadgets, wristwatches, clocks, dishpans, buckets, and I find, you know those mauve little dishpans you get when you're in the hospital and they come home with you? Well, one lady had a stack like this underneath her vanity in the bathroom, and I'm not sure what she used them for, but they were there, so Faded bedspreads and comforters. And in Montana, I see a lot of these gorgeous, gorgeous quilts that are hidden away and nobody sees them. Old blankets and frayed bindings, leftover roll-ends of wallpaper. Even I have some of those, I have to admit. Bottles of expired vitamins or out-of-date prescriptions. Lots of paper, old adding machine paper, copy paper, freezer paper, paper. Attachments to defunct equipment, and it's usually vacuum cleaners. So they have no vacuum cleaner, but they have all the attachments. Bargain items you didn't need, but you bought because they were a bargain. Garden seeds that are outdated, pots from plants that have died, or a lot of people, after they've got their bedding plants to put in their gardens or in their patio containers, they save all of those containers that the potted plants come in, and so we've got stacks and stacks of those. An assortment of 4-inch wide ties, hated gift ties, and one man I know was every tie he ever owned because they were all different widths in his closet. Old refrigerators and freezers, tangled wads of leftover yarn and embroidery floss, lampshades, lids from jars, plastic hangers, those metal hangers from the dry cleaner that aren't good to hang your clothes on. Fast food containers, aluminum pie plates, plastic bags, styrofoam peanuts, it can go on and on. The last one is the good stuff. The good stuff is what people save for a special occasion. And one lady told me she saved a nightgown and a robe. And I said, oh, what's the occasion? And she said, well, you know, in case I go to the hospital. I went, okay. And she said, well, I can't wear my ratty old robe and gown. And I said, you know, if you're sick enough to be in the hospital in the first place, I don't think you mind that they make you wear one of their designer gowns. And so when you get well in our home, why don't you wear the new one? It'll perk you up. Another good stuff I find are towels and bed linens in every drawer and closet and cupboard. And they're old, but they've never been used. And then I look in the bathroom and the towels are frayed and totally worn out, and the sheets on the bed are sheer. But people are still keeping the good stuff. A couple weeks ago, I'm searching on the internet, and I found a little advice from this 90-year-old lady, Regina Brett, who lives in Cleveland, Ohio. And it's just exactly what I'd been saying. She says this: burn the candle. Use those nice sheets. Wear that fancy lingerie. Don't save it for a special occasion. Today is special. So my advice to you, here's reasons why you need to downsize. You need to downsize so you aren't faced with a mountain of belongings and a molehill of time to complete this job. You need to downsize so you only have the things around you that are beautiful, that you love, that mean something to you. More is not better, it's just more. You need to downsize so your life is simplified, streamlined, and organized. You need to downsize so you don't have all this stuff to take care of all the time and you can spend more time doing what you love to do. You need to downsize for peace of mind. Now you know exactly where to find things. That lost document won't be lost for long because you know exactly where everything is. And finally, you need to downsize because none of us has all the time in the world. There's a lady called Barbara Perman. She has a senior move management company called Moving Mentor. And I always like to close with her little quote. She says, a cluttered house is like a cup of coffee filled to the brim. Until you empty out some of the old, there is no room for new. And I have some other books that are in my bibliography that I'm going to hand out to you that I'd like to show you briefly. Like I said, I don't gather many books, but I do gather the important ones. When I was first starting my business, I did a lot of research, and this book kept coming up all the time. It's called Who Gets Grandma's Yellow Pie Plate? And it was in book form or workbook form, and I chose workbook. It was created by the University of Minnesota Extension Department. And it's for families. It's to avoid the family arguments that sometimes occur when you're dividing up belongings. It tells how to transfer personal property and determining what fair is, identifying special objects to be transferred, establishing ground rules so there are no conflicts within the family. And it's an excellent book. The other book is called Clutter Busting, Letting Go of What's Holding You Back. by Brooks Palmer, and it's also a little bit of humor, and I'm going to read to you the under the bed story. And he says, treat anything under your bed as if someone had taken a full bag of garbage from the kitchen and dumped the contents there. Head to your bedroom with several sturdy trash bags and a flashlight. It's time to do some excavating. Perhaps a miner's helmet is a good idea? Get down on the floor, scoop out everything from under your bed. Nothing remains. Take all the archaeological findings and bring them to another room with a lot of open floor space. Spill the contents onto the floor. Sit down in the middle. It's important to get things out of their resting places. By putting items in unfamiliar settings, you'll be able to discriminate their worth. As you venture under the bed, remember, the stuff is just stuff you didn't really want to look at. Go through all the items with the most discriminating of eyes. Trust that most of them can be tossed. Keep going until you're done. From now on, the space under the bed stays empty. And the last book is not on my bibliography because I just got it. And my friend who's been decluttering has had it. I had to go get it from her the other day. It's called Throw Out 50 Things, Clear the Clutter from Your Life, Find Your Life by Gail Blank. And she says to take a notebook and pen and go through your house and physically gather 50 things you want to get rid of and be sure and write them down in the notebook. That's important. Then she says go to your professional life or your office and get rid of 50 things. It doesn't necessarily have to be objects. Maybe it's 50 organizational problems you have in your office. But she says be sure and write them down, 50. And then she does the mental clutter. And she says take care of your mental, your emotions. And it might be there's 50 hang-ups I have, 50 fears. Amongst that there's some relationships that are not good that I can make better. That could go on your list. So you have 50 things in your entire life, and you have a brand new start. It's an excellent book. Finally, I have some goodies. I have a bag for each of you. One of the pieces of paper in this little bag tells about move management and what it is and what services move managers provide. The other is mine. It tells little ideas for sorting and my bibliography. I also have a little refrigerator magnet with the decluttering mantra, a cluttered house is like a cup of coffee filled to the brim. And we also have to have a little piece of chocolate because this is supposed to be your energy to get started as soon as possible. Remember, start today. We don't have all the time in the world. Okay? So we'll pass this around. You can take one if you have a friend or a relative you think really needs this. I would take an extra one for them. Okay? And if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer. And if not, I thank you very much for listening.
Do you have any suggestions if someone does get downsized to keep them from collecting again?
My friend who's decluttering is so motivated by the feelings that she has right now. She feels so free that that's keeping her from cluttering again. So I think a part of it is the emotions. When we finally get it done, it's just an awesome feeling, and you don't want to go back. Yeah, some people do. The hoarders will hoard no matter what.
Yeah.
Because it's a disease. But usually if it's just us, if you get it cleaned out, it feels great.
In other words, you don't have any rule. Watch it. This is what you do and stop.
No, but I could come dressed as a clutter fairy.
Okay, I'd love to see you dressed as a clutter fairy.
I would too. I love
I'm
it.
disappointed you weren't dressed up tonight.
My husband had requested I didn't. He said a little bit of decorum, he said.
Well, I want to thank Marilyn for that wonderful presentation. Lots of good information. Boy, could I identify with that. One thing I took away from your talk just now, Marilyn, was that transitioning like this, decluttering, moving, downsizing, can be emotionally testing. You know, it can be difficult for us. It can be daunting and intimidating to do this. And yet, once the job is complete and the transition is made, there's relief. Well, so I think that's very valuable, and I'm going to take your advice at heart and take one of those home with me and work on it. My name is Mary Louise Zapp-Knapp. I am with Lambros Real Estate ERA. I am a realtor, and I am the second half of this seminar. I'm the second presenter, talking about downsizing. And I do have a PowerPoint that I'm going to be going through with you. So, downsizing, simplify and enrich living. And that's basically what it is, to get rid of all that clutter in our life, to downsize, simplify. I know it is very difficult once we start aging to manage a house, to manage the yard, all the responsibilities, just the physical effort. And indeed, I find with a lot of my clients, simply carrying groceries upstairs can become a problem. And safety issues too. Let's move forward here. This is from the Montana Census data recently. And in red, I have marked the sentences there that deal with older than 55. It looks like we are really going to populate our environment very, very quickly here. They now make up 29% of the population in Montana compared to 22.8 in 2000. And the biggest increase came in the number of people between 55 and 64, a segment that jumped from 9.4% of the population to 14.1%. Let's see what's going to happen. This is from a study done by Dr. Larry Swanson of the O'Connor Center for Rocky Mountain West. This is one of his slides from a presentation he prepared for our local school district. Now just take a look here, if I can get my little cursor here. Take a look. This is 65 and older. Take a look what's happening with them. Here we are in 2011 right here, and here they go all the way up to 2030. Look where we're going to be then. So this population is on the rise, and we are going to have to really seriously start looking at their housing needs. So here, Zillow.com recently, just this month, put out a little article on the internet. It says, look ahead at new homes of 2015. This is what they're going to basically look like. Let me get my little cheat sheet here. If you had to ask someone in the 60s what the home of the 2015 would look like, chances are they imagined something akin to the Jetsons' home, complete with Rosie the robot and other space-age appliances that dressed and fed the family. But rather than space-age technology, the biggest thing that is expected to change in future single-family dwellings is the size. Homes will get smaller, said Stephen Melman, Director of Economic Services at the National Association of Home Builders. We asked builders what do you anticipate the new home size would be in 2015? Well, they said, according to the builders survey, they said it would be about 2,150 square feet. Currently, it's at 2,400 square feet. In 07, that was at the peak before we took that dip down in 08. It was at 2,521. So it has come down, it's going down, it's going to go down further in size. Now, while the decrease in home size has a lot to do with the recession that we're in, many believe that the real estate changes will stick. In other words, we're going to continue to downsize. Affordability is driving these decisions, but the builders believe that one can, in a smaller home, be more creative, with more amenities, and have better flow. It's an opportunity to deliver a better home, they say. Other things that may make up the home of the 2015 is no more living room. According to the survey, 52% of the builders expect the living room to merge with other spaces, such as the family room and flowing into the kitchen. Expect to see more laundry rooms, spacious laundry rooms, master suite walk-in closets, porches, eat-in kitchens, two-car garages, and ceiling fans. Expect to see less mudrooms, formal dining rooms, 4 bedrooms or more, media or hobby rooms, and skylights. Many of these changes reflect a desire for the builders and consumers to go green, such as this one. Now, this one's out of Hawaii, and they've got galvanized siding And this photovoltaics, if you can see on top of the roof, all right, that's real mod, and they're really going green. I don't think here in Missoula we have gone that green yet, but I do believe it's coming. I'm going to show you something a little later that you know, has a hint of this where we're going. Smaller space means more efficient heating and cooling. Ceiling fans apparently distribute heat evenly while skylights release heat. Of course, I love skylights, but they're not that cost effective apparently. Builders look to green. They'll be installing energy efficient windows, compact fluorescent and LED lighting, as well as water efficient appliances and plumbing. Additionally, many homes will have the baby boomer population in mind with walk-in showers, ground floor master bedrooms, and grab bars, because I do believe they're looking ahead, and wisely. A bigger share of the new homes will be purchased by people 55 or 65 and older, said Millman. They're more likely to have cash for a down payment, but they're empty nesters, so they don't need the 5 bedrooms anymore. Here is a similar house that they're going to. Here's the great room encompassing the dining, living, and family rooms. This is part of the Zillow presentation. Now, this is one house that I did sell a couple of years ago. It is one level. It is what a boomer would want. In fact, a boomer did buy it. She wanted one level living. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, landscaped with a drip system, very low maintenance yard, move-in ready. It has vinyl siding, so she just wanted very little maintenance. The lot itself is under 6,000 square feet. It's about 5,500 square feet. The house itself was shy of 1,300 square feet. Here it is. Here is the living room, looking at, well, living room, dining room, large room area, looking at a smaller kitchen with a little dining nook right there. Here is the kitchen with a pass-through. There again, this could be dining, living, whatever the great room is. Here is the little nook with a little window out the front in the kitchen area. Bedroom with a fan. Here is your double-car garage that they're talking about. But if you look here, you've got a step up. In fact, it's 2 steps up into the house. Now, that's an issue. And here you have 2 steps up the front porch. This is all in a drip system, maintenance-free. Here is another one that I now currently have for sale, which is basically labeled, or as I do a search on the MLS, comes up as a one-level living, because we are limited, we realtors are limited to the tools we have. Trying to find a one-level living with no stairs for seniors or boomers, I will put in the search criteria things such as a master bedroom on the main, kitchen on the main, laundry room on the main. Therefore, if I can find that, I can find a one-level living unit. This is a one-level living unit, but guess what? Here we go. It's up here with terrific views of the M on the mountain, you know, right behind the university. But to get there, there is no elevator. So technically, this is really not a one-level living, because you have to climb stairs to get there. In fact, 3 short flights of stairs. Here we do the search. I am searching for one-level living here in Missoula. My unit comes up. It says 1,152 square feet on the main level, nothing on other levels, but indeed it is not one-level living due to those stairs. And it is difficult to find one-level living here in this community for seniors without stairs. Even the one that I sold to that boomer had a couple stairs up. She can handle it now, no problem, but there may come a time where she cannot. Current market analysis. Just a couple days ago, I ran a report here. I did townhouses and condos and then single families. What is actively on the market total today, and I took the larger Missoula area from like Lolo out to the airport to East Missoula, that area. So we have one-level living here, 37 out of 135. Here you go, sold in the last 6 months, 18 out of 77, under contract 7 out of 16. Same way with single family. Basically, so active is 452. and one level living is 117. What sold was 345. And if you notice, in the last 6 months, things still are selling on this market. We still have an active market, not as active as it used to be, of course. But things are still selling, buyers are still buying. Basically, if you look at these stats, it looks like one level living units here in the Missoula area make up about a quarter of the market. But I warn you, when you look such as the units such as mine, no, that's not true. I believe it's way less than a quarter of the market. And yet, when we look at the population and how it's going to blossom with all the boomers, we're going to need more than that on the market. Now, I've talked with a number of other realtors, and I also called our local home builders association and got the name of Don Garamone, who is a builder, and he is certified with CAPS, C-A-P-S, Certified Aging in Place Specialist, and the National Association of Home Builders puts out that designation. And he is trained to assist folks in modifying, remodeling their homes to bring it to a one-level living for them and to make it safer. So they can age in place if they so chose to in their own house, or possibly a smaller home that is not quite up to par, such as the other one with the steps, and other modifications that might be needed, such as enlarging the doorways. It addresses the needs for the fastest growing segment of the residential remodeling industry, home modifications for the aging in place. Anyone who wants to get in touch with him, he's got lots of information on this. He could assist you, as well as other builders too. I talked to a contractor that I have recently hired to work on our house, and he also does this for folks. He does not have the certification, but he is very well aware of the fact that this is occurring. This remodeling is really on the uptake here in Missoula. Now, if one were to decide to move, downsize, physically move out of a larger home to a smaller home, then we realtors here in Missoula could definitely assist. We would sit down and go over the reasons why, where, when, what, and what are the challenges. So why are you selling? Where do you want to go? What are your needs? What are you looking for? Go over their specific situation and look at accommodating their needs. When we put a house on the market, there are a number of things that we do. One of them being to market it, and marketing on the internet is key. It is the first place that folks are now going. According to mylittleguy.com, 94% of consumers start their home search online. 96% of the first-time home buyers start their home search online. And let me tell you, they are searching. I just got a call from a gal today. I had set her up on automatic email. I'd been doing searches for her. But she called and she says, now, Mary Louise, I have 2 houses I want to see tomorrow. And I said, okay. She couldn't remember one address or the MLS number. I said, well, was it among the ones I just sent you recently? She says, I don't know if it was, or I was looking on another site. I was looking on several other sites. They're doing their own research. Buyers are looking online. This is what they're doing. Even with the help and assistance of a realtor, they're doing their own research. They know how to do it, they're inclined to do it, and they will be doing it. So, selling your property here with Lambros, as with most realtors here, we've got large presence here on the internet. Our MLS typically simply feeds right into them. We are in local newspapers, local media outlets, just the top to high-tech exposure that is necessary in today's market. We have a number of things that we can utilize, such as Home Zone, and that is a 24/7 phone number that folks can utilize, call, and get the information on the listing via the telephone, and immediately be connected to the agent if they want more information. And at the same time, we get on our email and on our cell phone a notice that they did call so we can follow up and make sure they get information. Folks can go in and enter a number on their these modern magic iPhones, smartphones. They can get text information immediately. It's just phenomenal, and Lambros, as I know other agencies too, are keeping up on this. And in fact, in November, we're going to be getting a new program set up, and it is called Hub Listing, or the Listing Hub, in fact, Listing Hub. And that's where we're going to get reports on the listing showing us for the seller who are the numbers that have accessed this listing through the various avenues on the internet. A very powerful tool just to see how it's being exposed on the internet and who is accessing it. I think it's just wonderful tools in this modern day and age. Now, when we sell a house, we need to look at their needs. If, let's say, they need to move out quickly. Now, downsizing is one thing. When you have the time to sell the house and find a smaller house and move into, that's no problem. But on occasion, some folks may be dealing in a crisis mode where they need to move out quickly, such as injury, needing to go into assisted living. All right. When that happens, I am told, I have heard, and I've had personal experience with it, one cannot maintain a mortgage on this house and also pay your fees or your bills in the assisted living. A lot of folks do not have the resources to do that. So therefore, that house must be sold quickly. They cannot stay in the house. They need to move into assisted living now. Chances are they're recuperating in some rehab unit already, and they've got to move in. So this house needs to be sold, and sold quickly. How do we do that? How do we do that in today's market? Well, we have a number of tools in order to do that. One being is called the Gold Star program. One doesn't have to follow this, but the philosophy here is powerful, and I think it is effective. We take a look at what is in place in this ERA program. We follow it, whether you're certified as a Gold Star property or not. You follow this, and you will have what you need to sell. Now, if we can accomplish this and label it as a Gold Star property and advertise it as such, even more powerful. Let me tell you why. Home staging is vital to clean up the house, declutter, and if it is vacant already, to possibly set furniture in there so it has this comfort area, this comfortness for the folks when they come in. They feel comfortable, it feels homey, they can envision themselves in the house itself. ERA protection plan. Now that is simply a home warranty plan. ERA home protection plan is one of many. There are many other companies that offer home warranties or home protection plans. They cover your systems in the house, your heating system, your plumbing, your appliances, and they will cover it through the listing. One need not pay for this until you close, which means all through the listing you are covered. And if there's a problem with any of these appliances or systems in the house, you pay a minimal fee, $60 for a house visit, and you have that unit repaired or replaced. Now, mind you, you do not pay for it up until closing. Should you not sell that house, you don't pay for it. That's just gratis to you. But it is covered through the listing period, should you decide to do that. And then also for 1 year of the buyer being there. Now that gives confidence, comfort, security to the potential buyer looking at this house. Now if you had two houses that were similar on the block, one had a home warranty to provide that for the buyers, one did not, is it going to tilt? In today's competitive market, you need all of the leverage you can to convince the buyer that your house is the one that they really want to buy, because you want that sold quickly. A pre-listing home inspection is vital. It is vital nowadays because you don't want to be surprised by anything that was going to come up in the home inspection, and I advise every buyer that I have to get a home inspection. And if there are problems, to negotiate with the seller to remedy those. So, to have a pre-listing home inspection right up front, utilize that to hire your own handyman to come in and repair those, fix those, make it tip-top shape. It's already been resolved. And the last thing is seller disclosure, and of course all of those things could be attached to the seller's disclosure. You want to fully disclose anything about the property so the buyer feels very comfortable that they're entering into a very honest, upfront, fully disclosed transaction. Now, preparing your property. With that home inspection, here we go. You remove any buyer objections, and that is the decluttering right there. That is so important. You fix it up, you repair with the handyman contractor, whatever needs fixing up, and then you prepare to show, which is staging. Now, for cleanup, the average home price increases for cleaning and decluttering by $1,500 to $2,000. So it's very worthwhile. Repairs, painting, repairing, fixing windows, insulating, a number of things, low-cost repair, and to make it move-in ready. Staging, you see a vacant house there when you add just a few items of furniture, and one doesn't have to do the entire house, by the way, just a room or two, a few little towels, things in the bathroom, just to stage it, to give it a sense of comfort, a sense of hominess. On average, with a professional staged home stager, you can sell on average in 33 days or less, according to these stats, and that is from stagehomes.com 2010 stats. Now, the ERA program here I'm going through, basically this provides a buyer with more confidence, and it protects you against costly repairs during listing, and there won't be any disputes, or at least you avoid disputes and unwanted surprises upon the contract. With the home protection plan, here are the stats on this. 29% better chance of sale when using a home protection plan, and 15% faster with an ERA home protection plan. Once again, there are other home protection plans that you can utilize. In fact, upon leaving, if you want to take a look at these, I do have the ERA, I have other ones, you can take a look at them. These are what is covered. These will show you what is covered in a home warranty program. And I think everyone can benefit from using one of those. Selling your property, here we are again with all the smartphones, high-tech, texting, contacting us via directly, where we can either connect with them as they call us, or we can call back to follow through. Everything is really going on the internet now, and with the cell phones, they're able to even pull up all listings and get the information from listings. It is the way to go. We have other ways of advertising too, which is typical, you know, the yard signs, the flyers. And on our yard signs, we do have those numbers, those 24/7 numbers for the folks to call, the potential buyers. Now, pricing. When one wants to decide to sell their home, how does one price? Well, fair market value is not what you want out of the house. It is what a buyer is ready and willing to pay. How does one come to that? You don't really know until you close. Until you close the deal and sold. But one can use recent historical data to come to the range of a fair market value. Doing that, we use, to me, is the most powerful tool, a competitive market analysis tool. We take the current, most recent 6 months sales on the market of homes that are in your general area, similar homes, comparable homes. That's ergo it's called competitive market analysis, and they're comparables. We utilize comparable properties, and we show approximately where your house would lie in that. In fact, when I show this to my potential sellers and show them the comparative market analysis, I show them the listings with the amenities, with photos. Sometimes I pull up the entire listing and have them go through it and say, now you tell me where you think yours lies amidst, among these. And pretty much they can decide themselves. I can advise them, but it's pretty obvious where they will fall in the range of the sales price. Now, pricing analysis grid is another one. What we have here is we pull up comparables there again of what have sold, what is active, and what has expired and not come off the market as sold properties. And you can see there then It's another great tool that if you want to sell something in here in the sold range and here's the active range, you need to be in here. You can't be way up here. So it's a simple tool. Absorption rate is another. And finally, if someone really wants to, they can use a professional home appraiser to appraise the house. It does cost approximately $500. Now, mind you, the buyer who utilizes a lender will always have their own appraiser. Even if you have an appraiser to help you set your price, they will come in with their own appraiser and appraise. They will go off their own appraiser's amount. Those appraisers use the same tools we use here. They use the recent solds from the MLS, from the local MLS. So, but that's another option one can use. So basically, we realtors are here for anyone who would like to make this transition, this move. We can facilitate selling a home. We can coordinate that with purchasing the downsizing home, if one were to downsize, and hopefully make the closing dates coincide. It takes a lot of work, takes a lot of communication among all of the individuals involved in this kind of transaction. Can be done, has been done, and that is the challenge that we all face as realtors. And we realtors, not every sales agent is a realtor, and the realtors do adhere to the Code of Ethics and Standards of Practice of the National Association of Realtors. And I am proud to be a realtor, and we are always there for you. So, does anyone have any questions about downsizing or the real estate market today? Thank you very much. I'm so glad you came.
You know, Mary Louise, I hadn't thought of this, but Rita and got her house ready so that it would be saleable when she dies.
Yes?
She had a cut-up house with small rooms, and she went into that same big room with her kitchen and just an all-purpose room, figuring that it would be better and more saleable.
So she changed, she toured walls and created a great room.
Yeah, she's in North Carolina, and her house is on one level. Yeah.
Well, see, she knows, she's aware of where we're going. Yep. Yep. Yeah, and we need to talk about this. We need, more people need to know what resources are available to create this kind of environment for folks. Yep. Thank you.